220. Would you give a blessing, please?
Let's all stand, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your many blessings upon each of us. And we ask you, Lord, to bless those who are sick and just to help them to heal. And we pray for your guidance in this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Bill Smith.
Here.
Bill England.
Honey.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Harley Bezzard. Joe Bird.
Aye.
Sean Crittenden.
Here.
Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Frankie Hargis. Wanda Hatfield. Dick Lay.
Honey.
Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw.
Here.
Janice Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. David Walkenstick. Brian Warner.
Honey.
Got a quorum.
Need approval of the minutes from our January 16th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Reports, Management Resources, Mr. Bruce Davis.
You can count on Bruce.
Good afternoon. Just like Minnie Pearl, I'm just proud to be here. Well, I got the price tag. You have my report. I've got a few points I want to make. The topping out's coming up. So put that on your calendar. Be ready we're expecting at least 600 that day. So it's going to be a big event. We've been moving the court system upstairs, so y'all probably seen people move. We got a small grant to thin the pines, Mr. Harley. So give you that report. We're excited to get started on that with the help of Sarah Hill and Karen Ketcher and her group. Got a small grant to maintain and help out with the buffalo. And the gym at Marcoma, Joe Bird, we're getting ready to start construction on that. We had a big meeting this morning. So we've got a lot of things going on. If I can answer any questions, I'll try.
We get
Harley?
on thinning the pines. Now, what's the plan here? Are we going to sell them or?
We're gonna sell them, Harley. And right now, we're looking at thinning like every 30 feet, we'll leave one. We don't wanna take them all out.
Right.
We wanna thin them where we can take a brush hog through the underneath and keep that all cut down and look neat. And plus, have the scenery. We don't wanna just doze them down or
Yeah.
something like that. So that's what we're working on right now.
So when will this happen? You have any?
We've contacted some loggers
Oh, I see.
this last 2 weeks, and we're gonna start pretty quick.
Good. I think in 10 or 15 years now, you'll see some pine. That
Yeah, maybe. We're hoping.
being 30 years old and 8 inches
Right.
in diameter.
Right, we're hoping. Yeah,
Good. We've been trying to do that for 12
Right.
years.
yep.
I just have a couple more questions, if you don't care. And I know I'm always on about trees and stuff like that, but they cut the prettiest tree down at the Head Start Center in Dayton. I don't know if your tree did that or not, but I'll find out from Vernon who authorized that, because that serves the purpose up there of shade for those kids that are babies, 3 years old, stuff like that. And I saw somebody out there cutting up, and I should have gone over there, I didn't do it, but they cut it down. And
Wasn't us, Harley.
I don't know
It wasn't us.
I don't know who's making these decisions here, but my goodness alive. I mean,
I'm glad it wasn't
Cherokee
us.
and Indian use trees all their lives for shade.
Right,
And we go down and cut a tree down where we have little kids that play out there. If it was dead and had dead limbs dropping off, then I can understand, but I go to that place about every day, and I didn't see it like that, but maybe there was. Anyway, I just want to bring it up, and I'm sure somebody will answer it for me. The other thing, and I know this may not be in your department, but Sharon Swepson actually is in charge of our taxes, tag office in Jay, but I've had 2 different complaints about handicap ramps, and I don't know if you guys will be doing or not, but I just want to get that on record that I did bring it up, and then I'll bring it up when Sharon comes up for the committee too.
okay.
So just be aware of
If
that.
she needs our help, she can
I'm
ask.
sure she will.
Okay.
Yeah.
You bet.
Okay, well, I'm excited about the pines.
Okay, we are too.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
what's the construction going on at Marcona?
Well, you know, Stick, we had the flooding.
Okay.
We had all that water in there, so.
French drain or something, or?
And we're French drain around the building and go in there and seal it off on the wall, and so it's gonna be a pretty big job.
Pretty big task?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Denise?
I'm just curious about the sale of the bison to the Quapaw tribe.
Okay?
How many, and do we have a methodical, in place for keeping the herd the size we wanted, or?
I can't tell you how many. I wanna say it was around 6.
Okay,
And they're trying to grow their herd, and these were young bulls, if I remember right, that we didn't need. We had plenty of bulls, and calf crop, more bulls than we got heifers, so we sold off some of the bulls. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Bruce, I just wanted to tell you, thank you, tell GV, thank you, anybody that, for the help, for some of the
bet.
local people that we've had down there and stuff that I've sent in, really appreciate it.
Okay.
And I will tell, we had a wrestling tournament a couple weeks ago, speaking of gyms, and I was really impressed. If anybody's ever been to the Dome over at Okmulgee, the Creek Nation Dome, and I walked in, and if you're ever in that area, go by and check it out, because all federally recognized tribe citizens can go in there and look at that. But if we ever get to thinking about doing something new or in other areas, I found it really interesting. It was a good place to have a wrestling tournament. They've got the basketball, all sorts of things to be done in there. So, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Keep up good work.
All right.
Real Estate Services, Ginger Brown Reeves.
Good afternoon. You have my report. If you have any questions, I will be happy to address them.
Hey, Ginger, appreciate all the help on the impact aid. You and Joel, a lot of help. Me and Speaker, we were traveling to a ball game, and we were talking about our Indian homes. And we was talking about the state budget cuts in education and everything. And we started talking about how we as a tribe could leverage our authority or power or whatever, leverage ourselves of how we could supplement those cuts in education. And we started talking about the impact aid money that these rural schools get, and they're 6 figures. Some of our schools stay open only because of their impact aid check. If they didn't get that, they'd have to shut the doors. And so just kind of thinking creatively and thinking outside the box, we start thinking about there's some schools like Oklahoma, for example, which that's in a Creek Nation jurisdiction, but they haven't been able to apply for impact aid for the last 3 years because all their properties got paid off, all their Indian homes, their Creek homes did. And they took about a $150,000 hit because their properties got paid off. And, thinking creatively, is there a way that with our Indian homes we have right now, if we could keep them or put them into a trust status, work something out with the BIA? I know Congress approves those impact aid monies every year. They appropriate so much money to go in this pot of money, and then these schools that have lands that are federal, not federal, but they're trust lands. They generate a lot of money because those kids might go to school, over at Leach or Woodall or Cave Springs or whatever. Is there a possibility that we could do something or come to an agreement with the BIA, or do we have an agreement already in place, or?
Well, it all depends on what type of land that those homes are situated on.
Yeah.
If it's an acre that was been given to them by the family, they are probably, it's going to be in fee property. Also, it depends on the type of, if it's in a housing subdivision that's already trust, and if they pay it off, they have an opportunity to take it in fee or in trust once they pay it off. It's that homeowners, at that point, it's the homeowner's decision whether they want to keep it in trust or take it in fee. So it's all an individual, it's up to the
If they
individual
want to refinance
landowner.
their home or something, they got to probably
Possibly.
take it out of trust or.
Of course, then there aren't any taxes involved if they do take it in trust, you know. So we deal with that every day in our office. It goes through our office to go to the BIA when they determine if they want it in trust or in fee status, once those are paid off.
Yeah, I have just a lot of superintendents that I talk to, and they would love to have a partnership with Cherokee Nation, and some of them has even talked about purchasing land in their area where they can't sell land away, but I think they can lease it, you know, for like a 99-year lease or something. And if we could figure out some partnership, and I know we looked into this 3-4 years ago, but I don't know I wish there was a way our citizens could have a way or a process of how they could go through and put their land into trust, or put an application for it to be put in trust if it's an Indian home, if it's a home that we built.
There is an application process. They can do an application for fee to trust, just like we put our properties that we own in trust.
How many
yes.
people have to approve that?
We'll go through the same process, and
So just go
it's
through
somewhat
tribe first,
costly.
or just go through Cherokee Nation first, then to the BIA?
Yes, sir.
Does the Cherokee Nation have to approve that?
Anytime we do, it would come before here for a resolution to be put
Gotcha.
into trust.
Interesting. How many does the BIA, are they about that, or are they kind of sticklers to, no, we don't want to put any more land in the trust, or?
We don't do a lot of individual land into trust because of the expense of it.
What you told us a while back, what's that cost?
Anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 per
Property.
application.
Per application.
That sometimes deters the homeowner from wanting to do that.
Sure, I can see that.
And then, but it might be worth looking into, getting the housing authority involved and, you know, looking at that.
Is that 10 to 15,000? Is that our time putting together an application, or
No.
is that just, that's a processing fee through the BIA?
We're talking surveys and all your surveys and environmentals, and there's a lot of testing that needs to be done, and all the title work as well.
Entitled work.
That doesn't include our time that we would have in it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chair.
Any other questions?
Just to thank you, Ginger, for coming down to Southsaw and helping out down there.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Marley?
Ginger, just to follow up on Councilor Walkenstick's question there about putting that land into trust. Upon payoff of that house, if the housing authority would ask that individual, do you want to put this in trust for fee status? Would that automatically be done at that time if I said, put it in trust status?
At that point,
Yeah.
it is brought over to our office and we start the process. Yes.
And so they probably wouldn't have to go back and do surveys and environmentals and,
All depends
Indeed.
on how long it's been since.
just being paid off.
It's probably not had a survey on it in some
10
time.
years
It
or
could be
15 years.
20, 30
So,
years.
so that's something we'd need to find out to see if we'd have to do that. So to me, that would be the time to ask those people, because if I would have known that, I would have left my land into trust. And there's stipulations on the trust status too, I'm sure.
There is.
Probably no smoke shops or stuff like that, you know.
Well, of course, every piece of land is different, and, you know, if it is in trust, then, you know, they have the option of taking it into fee.
And the
Or
what?
they could keep it
Oh,
in
okay,
trust,
okay.
if it is already in trust. Did you have something else?
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, we've talked with the BIA about some of the houses that were, like Harley just said, that were on 10 acres of restricted Indian land. We removed the acre
Right.
to build a home. They're looking for some possible test cases where, like, you would bring your property in there and you would probably be the first to go into trust. But we have all kinds of applicants that want to do that, but there's so many, they can't have a mortgage on the house, they have to have an up-to-date abstract, they have to have all their title work done. You know, for a lot of people that hadn't done that, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, so it's just, the process just doesn't get done.
That's the reason most people.
And it goes straight to the individual to do that, to pay those fees, so. So we are working to try to do like Stick said and get those houses that were on restricted Indian land back to a trust status, since we can't put restrictions back on it, but we could do that, so.
That helps. And I have one more question.
Okay.
Jeff. I see on your report, Ginger, that you had like 50-some calls about jurisdictional places, and then I think you said that they were like 24 you had to do after hours. Who are those calls coming from? I take it it's probably the marshal, but I'm not sure.
Marshal Services and ICW and other governmental entities,
okay.
but Marshal Services and ICW. And after hours, Joel Bean and Elaine Kendall are 24 hours on call.
That was my next question.
Yes.
How do you do that? Joel, do you have to come in, or do you have that on you?
Ginger's got it set up with a lot of
That you can do.
information on our computer.
That you can
We have,
do.
yes, iPads.
Yeah.
She can pull up some of the county record content. So we may get a call from the Marshal Service or, you know, Delaware County or
Yeah.
DHS, ICW. Just depends on what it is. Sometimes US Fire Marshal. It's interesting. I never ask what's going on because I don't want to get myself.
Yeah, you just,
About once every 2 years, you get to go to federal court and testify, and that's not ever fun.
I just wondered how you'd handle that, because
A memo is done each
I don't know how
time.
you'd
those
make
are-
it any easier. Okay, all right, fine. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ginger.
Thank you.
Environmental programs, Mr. Tom Elkins.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, how are you, sir? And council? Good afternoon. Didn't know that was hot. You have our report. I was going to start singing into that, but you have our report, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have. It's not in this currently this month, but the environmental programs will be hosting again. I think it's probably the 7th or 8th Environmental Festival, and I think it's going to be in Pryor this year. We've had that at the Job Corps or here in Tahlequah somewhere almost every year that it's been done. And we try to bus kids in from different schools if we can, predominantly Cherokee schools and students, to expose them to some of the things that we talk about there. And if you've ever been over there, it's pretty interesting. We get a lot of the employees come to it. Mr. Gwynn has a set up to hand out trees to folks, and we have door prizes, and it's really a good day. We try to get some of the folks over there if we can to, like yourselves and the administration, and certainly Secretary Hill will be there unless the sky falls, but it ends up being a very good day, and the kids generally really have a good time. We have Smokey Bear there, and I've got several pictures with him, so makes my day too. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions?
I was just reading this, and I just saw it, and I had a question about, you're working with the Attorney General staff to sign this project, to obtain signatures for trolling agreement. What is that?
That's tribes are natural resource damage trustees, and so states, tribes, and the federal government do that, and different agencies within the federal government and state government are the trustees for natural resource damage assessments. And so we work with those. The tolling agreement is just an agreement that we work with those other entities. It's not secretive, but it's I guess it is somewhat is. And that,
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
it's just an agreement with those other trustees that we're all on board. The Cherokee Nation has gotten received payments from other like responsible parties. And generally, the ones that we've been working on lately is from Tar Creek, the issues that have been up there. And some of that pollution has come down into part of the Cherokee Nation. And then there's been smelters in Tulsa and Collinsville and a few other ones. And that lead, when you smelt lead, there's always a sort of pollution. And those heavy metals settle down into people's yards. And then kids can be, kids play outside, at least mine always did. And I always did. And that's where they get some of that intake. So it's assessment of some of those yard residential places. And then if those people are found responsible, there can be remediation that goes along with that, or if there's damage to the natural assessments. I know Mr. Gwynn and Secretary Hill have worked with them. Some of our culturally protected species have been harmed over the years, river cane and some other plants that we hold very important to us. And so we've taken that money and replanted those in certain places. It's a very good thing. I'm glad that we've only been doing that. Well, I say that. I've been here 22 years almost. About half of that time, we've been doing that natural resource damage assessment. And I can't say how much we've gotten over the years, but a lot of money's come back to the Cherokee Nation for good work.
Well, I'm just wondering about the trolling agreement.
Absolutely.
The other question I had, Tom, is, and I'm not sure it falls under your scope of work or not, is on the River Cane issues about, we had a citizen that said they went down and Bruce brush hog, or somebody brush hogged the River Cane. Have we
It's probably Bruce.
Have we dealt with that now? Did that happen, or are you?
Sir, I don't know off the top of my head about that. I can ask Secretary Hill. I'll be taking any questions you might have for her too. We have some folks from Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality down today, and I stepped out of that meeting to be here. But I can certainly talk to her and Bruce again and make. Do you know where that's at?
Well, it was down the southern part of the district here, and Councilman Clinton might know more about it than I do, but that was a concern of mine. We don't want to go in and destroy it because it just takes so long to grow it back.
Absolutely. I just saw a presentation where some of our folks have tried to transplant river cane, and it is really hard to get established. Once it is, it does pretty well, but it can take several years to become established with that.
Councilman Clinton may have more to say about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Harley, I was visiting with some folks, there's Sarah Hill and different ones. It's a little limbo phase right now, but I think good things are coming for that. The river cane protection and everything.
Absolutely.
I think there's some meetings that's gonna take place pretty quick, but they're staying on top of that stuff, Harley, and I'll get with you and anybody else that wants to know about it here.
Well,
As soon as
I
I
feel
find
like
out
river
something.
cane about the same way I feel about trees and other plants. Anyway, thanks, sir.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, there was a smelter in Bartlesville that they folded and remediated. Did we do anything up there?
Absolutely, and I think that's still an ongoing thing.
Yep.
There have been, there's probably half a dozen, maybe 8 or 10 historic smelters that have been all over the northern part of the Cherokee Nation and then into Tulsa. And not all of those have been examined. Some of them are smaller, and there's just not a responsible party for that, or we've looked into it and there's not so far. But the ones that we've been able to find, people that have some sort of a tie into that, I think we've done 4 or 5 now. And again, we've worked with the state on this quite a bit, and even other tribes, the ones up in Miami and all, and the state and the feds. And we've gotten some money back. But I can find specifically about that one in Bartlesville.
It's been ongoing, as you know, for years. And
Absolutely.
On that side of town, they went in and dug up yards and brought new dirt in and a whole bunch of stuff.
Similar to what they did up in Tar Creek. They went into some of those homes and took out 2.5, 3 foot of soil and brought back other soil in. And people wanted that soil. It had a lot of lead content in it, but some people wanted that soil. So you could almost mine it for lead, probably.
Any other questions?
And again, I'm taking questions for Secretary Hill. She's not going to be here this afternoon, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take ones for her.
Environmental thing, just a comment, smeltering there in Henrietta. I was asking my father-in-law one day, there's real pretty trees for a little while and then nothing.
Absolutely.
A big, and I said, how come that's like that? And his dad worked in the smeltering plant there, and it done a number on it, and that's been years ago.
I was going to say, you can tell that, and some of these smelters haven't been operational for 60, 70 years, and you can still tell the blight on the land from that. Lead poisons a lot of things. On the other hand, there's some called, I forget what the remediation term is, but certain plants that you can plant that will uptake that lead. And even some of those are that people eat. You couldn't eat those, but you could get that and uptake a lot of that lead and get it out of there. But we've worked on several of them, and
I never knew anything about it till.
absolutely. You know, it's amazing, and the only reason I know this is because one of my a thesis I did for graduate school was the Tar Creek mining district, and it just amazed me. You know, you think of gold mining, and you think like Cripple Creek, Colorado. There were hundreds of millions of dollars taken out of that in gold. The Tar Creek, just zinc and lead, there was well over $1 billion. And we're talking $1 billion in the teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s that were taken out of there. So there was gobs and gobs of lead and zinc taken out of there. And that's why a lot of they have some subsidence problems, because much of that earth was taken out. The mill tailings are laying up there in the chat piles, and they have some. And you know, a lot of our citizens live up in that area, and so there are gobs of issues with that. And we've been looking at it as long as I've been here.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, just real quick, Tom, on Collinsville
Yes, sir.
community, have they found any violations of the old Acme brick plant in there?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to ask, and I know some of the folks that have worked on that. It's in where at again?
Collinsville.
Collinsville. Yes,
Back
yes.
by the community building.
You know, it seems like I looked at
On
that.
the south side of town, you know, there's that old,
I absolutely do.
that's old black, what do they call it, Blackyard or Greenfield or something?
Right. Brownfield.
Brownfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
Color in there. Yeah, Brownfield.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know whether that old Acme property had any issues or not.
You know, I can't say off the top of my head. I just don't remember. But I will find out about that and send you an email on it.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Good report.
Stand up. I'll be all right.
Old business, done pending, new business? Ricky, you want to take that?
Sure. This is a resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust, Tate Chewy, 135 acres in Adair County. I move for its approval.
Take,
Motion second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? I guess you want to take the next one too?
The resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust, Beaver, 140 acres in Adair County, and I move for its approval.
second.
Dennis, motion and second.
I do have a question. Did we own these before, Frank, or do you?
Ginger?
These two, actually, I guess there's three, one in Sequoia County. Did we own those, do we own them now, or?
Oh, yes, we've owned them
previously?
for some time. Yes. But they showed up on our list to put into trust for this year.
Thank you.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Yes, but I still have a question. My question is, I notice on the third one, you list 160 acres. On the second one and the first one, it just says, it's not specific about how much land. Is there a reason for that?
The first one was 135 acres.
In the title of it.
If you, and then if you look at the narrative, there's a more, a better explanation on the narrative, 135 acres.
140.
And then 140 on the second.
Okay.
And then, I believe, 160 on this third one. that's
In the, no, in the title, in the legal description, that first one is so convoluted. The second, third one are much easier to, about halfway understand, but that first one is rather convoluted.
It's because it's shaped like that.
Okay. Brian, you want to take the third one?
Yes, sir. This is a resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust to Thompson, 160 acres in Sequoia County. I move for its approval.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Yes, sir.
Yes, I would like to amend the agenda to add a resolution authorizing a lease to Oklahoma State University and add it as item number 4.
I'd like to second
Under new business. I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Dr. Dobbins, you want to take that?
We got amended.
Now you gotta read it.
Yeah, you have to read it.
Now I have to do what?
Read it.
Read it again.
Oh, read
Yeah,
it?
but-
No, just,
The entire thing?
no, just
Hold tight.
A resolution authorizing lease to Oklahoma State University, whereas the Cherokee Nation since time immemorial has exercised the sovereign rights of self-government in behalf of the Cherokee people.
I second that. I second it.
Okay. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
I had a question on it. Had a question on it, Rick.
Go ahead.
What are we doing here? I guess I can read it, but I'm not sure.
I have Elizabeth Odell and/or Dr. Graham here to address any questions on this.
Okay, well,
But
yeah, I'd
it's
like
for
that.
the lease for the medical center.
Could we do that, Chair?
Yes.
Are there any senators here?
Absolutely.
We appreciate
So I guess my question is, what are we doing and how long is the lease for? I didn't see that in there.
Okay, that is the space we're going to lease to the Oklahoma State University Center for Health Sciences so that we can have the medical school out here on our campus. We'll be leasing a portion of the hospital once we vacate it, and then that furthest out building on that side where PT, diabetes, orthopedics, and optometry are. And those will move into the new facility that we build.
So it's the old hospital then? Okay.
It's a portion of the second floor,
Okay.
the first floor in total, and then that furthest out building. From the hallway where about medical records is,
Yeah.
the rest of that will still be, diagnostic imaging lab, our cafeteria. We'll still have ER, urgent care, and inpatient there.
So that
So
will
we'll
stay with us.
split that facility, if you will, with them.
And the parking lot, I see the parking lots on here.
Just a portion of the space will be allocated to them for parking.
And- Okay, I'm just saying, that's okay, I'm not against it. I'm just wondering why we had to do the parking lot, because,
Just for their use, basically. It will be,
well, I hope we don't put a sign up there and say it's for OSU parking only, because it's gonna cause problems.
That's not in the plans to do that.
Okay.
Just to ensure them,
That they
as
can-
we're preparing for accreditation,
Yeah.
this is part of the accreditation packet, the affiliation agreement, to assure them that they have adequate space and parking for their people, and the students, the staff and the students.
Okay, that answered my question. Thank you.
Sean?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just curious. This is a great thing. And now, is OSU gonna, do they have to, are they gonna be doing Native American preference in their school, or would this be?
They're not able to do that because they're a state university. But I think there will certainly be, there's going to be a focus on that. The architecture within the remodeled facility will highlight, Cherokee Nation culture and things like that. We're going to be asking Indian Health Service, as well as researching with other folks, the ability to have them set aside some scholarships, and if not scholarships, also loan repayment or both for Indian students that want to go to that College of Medicine. So we're going to try to do as much as we can to, make it friendly, and easy to get in, but they still have to meet all the same educational and other standards, that the university has to get in. It's not really a Indian medical school per se, but it'll be the first College of Medicine campus on Indian land in the country.
Our hope is we grow a lot of
Yes.
Cherokee or otherwise doctors and to stay right here and heal our people. So,
Yes, sir.
and that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. And just to follow up on, part of Harley's question was, I guess, is the time period just going to be in the lease?
Oh, excuse
Agreement,
me.
Elizabeth?
I'm sorry. Seven
7
years
years
with
is
an
the
option to renew.
The property that W.W. Hastings sits on, I assume that's federal.
It's
That's federal
trust.
property. It's
It's
trust.
been put in trust, yes.
So the lease agreement has to be approved through the BIA. We have to give standard costs as far as square footage and so forth. The BIA is going to decide that amount.
No, I mean, they will request, how exactly that works, they'll request compensation, they'll just request something from us, right?
Right. It'll all be in the lease.
Right.
The BIA sets that amount, or they have a preferred amount for the square footage for that property to be leased for.
Not necessarily, it will just, they'll look at the lease, and I haven't seen a copy of the lease yet, I've just seen a copy of the resolution, so, but it will be reviewed by the BIA. And see what type of compensation, or if it's in kind, well, it's in kind, it's
We
in
determine
kind.
the lease, how much?
Council
amount.
wants to.
Okay, all right, thank you, thank you.
Any other questions on this? Thank y'all. Announcements? Yes.
I do have one other thing. Is there any way that can be, that this, the medical center can be put on the agenda for tonight so that we can send it with our packet?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this time we'll let you. Okay, holiday bill.
Motion.
Second. Second. All in favor? We are adjourned.